So, if you don't believe in Christianity and don't believe the gospel, if you don't believe the stories of Jesus, specifically the resurrection, so what do you think, that the first Christians just made it up? The first Christians just fabricated the story of the resurrection? For what purpose? Let's take a look at the gospel story, John 20, verses 1 and 2. Just two verses in the Passion Translation. Very early Sunday morning, before sunrise, Mary Magdalene made her way to the tomb. And when she arrived, she discovered that the stone that sealed the entrance to the tomb was moved away. So she went running as fast as she could to tell Peter and John. And she told them, they've taken the Lord's body from the tomb and we don't know where he is. Now, one more verse, verse 18 of the same chapter. It says that Mary Magdalene had an encounter and conversation with Jesus. And she left to inform the disciples of her encounter with Jesus. I have seen the Lord, she told them. And then she gave them his message. So one evidence that this is true is that if the story was actually made up by the first Christians, which is what many atheists and skeptics say, they would not have made a woman, they would not have written in the story that a woman informs the men about Christ being risen and the empty tomb. Not in this patriarchal society, not in this society with lots of misogyny. I mean, if we think patriarchy and misogyny run wild nowadays, back then in the days of Jesus, there was lots of patriarchy, misogyny, whole lot. So if the resurrection story was fabricated, a hoax, it's unlikely that this would have been written so that it was Mary Magdalene and not any of the 12 guys who was the first to proclaim Christ is risen. Now, if you're still skeptical of the resurrection story, I get it, but think about this. If anyone would have known that the Christian story was a lie, that the resurrection story was a hoax, it would have been the OG, the first Christians. Now, many of them, including the Apostle Peter and James, many of them died for their faith. People don't give their lives for what they know is a lie, a hoax, a fabrication, a fake story. Nobody would die for what they know is a fake story. For example, are there people who say that they've seen Elvis? Sure. And you can't prove or disprove their story. But if someone threatened their lives and said, take it back or die, I'm sure they would say, hey, no, hold on, whoa, hold up. I did not really see Elvis. I made it all up. All I wanted to do was sell a story to the National Enquirer. I did not see Elvis alive. Be careful, I made it all up. That would be the natural response of somebody who made up a story and their life was threatened for it. The first Christians were threatened and persecuted and never took back their assertion, we have seen the Lord. They never recanted. They never took back their testimony, we have seen the Lord. And the first Christians never got a salary, a book deal, health insurance, pension, never got to go on the talk show circuit, none of the usual perks for making outlandish, extreme claims. So ask yourself, why else would they declare Christ is risen unless they saw Christ risen? Hebrews 11 verse 16 says, anyone who comes to God must believe that he exists and that he rewards those who earnestly seek him. Now, I can tell you, after 24 years of marriage and 2 awesome kids and an awesome life, there are rewards for earnestly, honestly, consistently seeking God. So why not now? Begin right now to seek God. Talk to God and say, God, if you're real, make yourself real to me. Read something awesome like Lee Strobel's The Case for Christ. Look up atheists and skeptics who now are Christians, who were not raised in a Christian home, and perhaps were not raised in America, perhaps were raised in other countries where the Christian faith is outlawed and there are no Bibles. And yet, many of them are coming to faith and reporting supernatural visions of Jesus. And those folks are not getting anything good, at least tangible or financial. They're getting rejected by their own families. They're being persecuted. They're being hounded. There are rewards for those who earnestly seek God. Thank you for watching. God bless.